Soft music fades in. Welcome to the Black Voices. Today's story is about dignity, patience, and the quiet power of truth. It is a story many of us understand, especially those who have lived long enough to know that life has a way of revealing character over time. Take a comfortable breath. And let us begin. For more than 20 years, Lillian Brooks, a 72-year-old widow with gentle silver hair and kind, thoughtful eyes, lived a simple life in a small apartment on the edge of the city. She was known by neighbors as a quiet woman who carried herself with grace. The kind of woman who always greeted people with a warm smile even when life had not always been kind to her. Her late husband Samuel Brooks had passed away 2 decades earlier. Samuel had been a man of strong principles and quiet determination. He had once worked as a groundskeeper for a wealthy estate on the outskirts of town. After Samuel passed away, Lillian never complained about her modest life. She learned to stretch every dollar. She volunteered at a small community church. And she often told younger people something she deeply believed. Wealth is not what you hold in your hand. It is what you hold in your heart. One quiet morning, Lillian received a letter that changed everything. The letter came from a law office asking her to attend a reading of Samuel's final estate documents. Lillian was surprised. Samuel had never been a wealthy man. At least that was what everyone believed. Still, she carefully folded the letter, placed it in her handbag, and made her way to the downtown office building a few days later. When she arrived, the waiting room was already filled with well-dressed people. Among them sat Gregory Caldwell, a confident 48-year-old businessman wearing an expensive cream-colored suit. Gregory was the only son of the billionaire who had owned the estate where Samuel once worked. He leaned back in his chair, laughing loudly while scrolling through messages on his phone. When Gregory noticed Lillian sitting quietly across the room, he raised his eyebrow with a faint smile of amusement. The lawyer soon invited everyone into the conference room. The room felt formal and heavy with expectation. At the head of the table sat attorney Marcus Whitfield, a calm 55-year-old man known for his careful attention to detail. He greeted everyone politely before opening the documents in front of him. Gregory crossed his arms with impatience. "Let us get this over with," he said with a grin. Marcus nodded and began reading the document left by Samuel Brooks. Samuel had arranged for a symbolic inheritance to be delivered today. Marcus paused and then looked toward Lillian. "Mrs. Brooks, your husband left you $10. The room fell silent. Gregory burst into laughter. $10. After all these years, that old groundskeeper left his wife $10. Gregory leaned forward, shaking his head. "That must be the smallest inheritance I have ever seen." Lillian sat quietly holding the small check Marcus handed to her. She studied it gently as if it carried deeper meaning. Her expression did not show anger or embarrassment. Instead, there was calm understanding in her eyes. Gregory continued laughing. 20 years, and that is what he leaves you. $10. Marcus Whitfield slowly closed the folder in front of him. Gregory was about to stand and leave when Marcus spoke again. "Mr. Caldwell, there is more to the matter." Gregory stopped. Marcus turned toward Lillian with a respectful smile. "Mrs. Brooks, your husband included a second instruction. This $10 check represents the key to a final property transfer." Gregory frowned with confusion. "What property?" Marcus stood and gathered another document. "Samuel Brooks legally purchased a piece of land many years ago. And according to his final request, the rightful owner must present the $10 inheritance to claim it." Gregory scoffed. "Land worth $10. This should be interesting." Marcus turned toward Lillian again. "Mrs. Brooks, if you are willing, I would like to escort you to the location now." Lillian nodded slowly. "I believe Samuel knew what he was doing." Gregory followed them outside, partly amused, partly curious. They drove for nearly 40 minutes, leaving the busy city streets behind. Eventually, the road turned into a long tree-lined driveway. Gregory suddenly sat forward in his seat. "Wait a moment." He recognized the land immediately. It was the private valley once owned by his late father. But this section of land had never appeared in the family estate records. The car stopped in front of tall iron gates. Marcus stepped out and handed Lillian the $10 check. "Please place this into the property claim box beside the gate." Lillian walked slowly toward the box. Her hands were steady. She slipped the check inside and turned the small brass key. With a soft mechanical sound, the gates slowly opened. Beyond the gate stretched a breathtaking property. Rolling green fields. A large historic mansion. And acres of untouched forest. Gregory's smile vanished. Marcus spoke calmly. Samuel Brooks purchased this land quietly many years ago using small savings and a legal agreement your father signed without realizing its future value. Over the past 20 years the land has increased tremendously in worth. Gregory whispered. How much is it worth? Marcus looked toward Lillian. Current market valuation places the estate at nearly $60 million. Gregory stood frozen. The woman he had mocked minutes earlier now owned one of the most valuable estates in the region. Lillian slowly stepped onto the property, looking around with quiet wonder. She could almost hear Samuel's voice in the breeze. He had always believed in patience. Always believed that time reveals truth. Marcus handed her the official property deed. Mrs. Brooks, the estate is now yours. Gregory struggled to speak. But how? Why would Samuel do this? Lillian turned toward him gently. Samuel used to say something very simple. He said people reveal their character when they believe someone has nothing. Gregory lowered his eyes, unable to respond. The quiet widow he had mocked had never lost her dignity. And now she had gained far more than money. She had gained the final proof of Samuel's wisdom. Lillian turned toward the mansion. But instead of excitement, her voice carried calm purpose. This home will not be only for me. Samuel believed land should serve people. Over the following months the estate was transformed. Part of the mansion became a retreat for widows who needed support. Another section became a learning center where young people studied gardening, craftsmanship, and community service. Lillian often walked the fields each morning, remembering the men who had trusted patience more than pride. One afternoon Gregory Caldwell returned to the estate. This time his expensive suit looked less important. He approached Lillian with humility in his voice. Mrs. Brooks, I owe you an apology. I judged you far too quickly. Lillian smiled kindly. Life teaches all of us, Gregory. Sometimes the best lessons arrive quietly. Gregory looked around the property, now filled with laughter and community. Your husband was a remarkable man. Lillian nodded. Yes, he was. And his greatest gift was not the land. It was the reminder that dignity never depends on what others think of us. Years later, visitors to the estate often asked Lillian about the small framed check displayed near the entrance. $10. She would smile and say softly, sometimes the smallest things open the largest doors in life. And that gentle truth stayed with everyone who heard her story. Soft music rises. Thank you for spending these moments with the Black Voices. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. And in the comments tell us what life lesson stayed with you the most. Your voice matters here at the Black Voices. Until next time. Stay kind, stay patient, and remember, life always reveals the truth in its own time.